What's a gambit? Who has heard the word gambit here? Yes, you hear it. What's the origin of the word? You know? What's the meaning? But let's go first to the origin. So, did some research, and the origin came from Italy, and it's related to chess. And gambit came from the Italian word gamba or leg, and it means in chess tripping something up, tripping somebody to gain an advantage. So when you trip, no, when you put your leg so that the other person trips, that's again a strategy that you want to have in chess to gain an advantage. And in chess, it's like giving up something like a pawn to gain something more. So there's a concealed advantage. Hey, looks like I'm giving up material, but actually I'm gaining more. So so that's the origin of the word gambit. During the mafia days, gambit was also used by the mafia uh, to gain hidden payoffs or advantages by giving something under the table to the authorities so that they can be allowed to do all the bad stuff um, in exchange for, again, for a hidden payoff given to those who were willing or corrupt enough to take it. Okay, so what's common between chess and the mafia days on the use of gambit is there's a hidden payoff. Don't you agree? Now, in transformation today, we use the word gambit to describe um, a situation where unknowingly uh, people get caught up in gambits in their world of reaction. So, as you know, the ideal situation is being in the world of creation when we start with nothing and we create possibilities out of what we're committed to be, and we leave out all the past and everything is clear and we can produce a lot of possibilities. In the world of reaction, many people are disempowered because of gambits which they don't know actually affect them. In gambits, there are four parts. The first two parts are what we can easily see. And then there are two parts which are underneath, payoffs and costs, which we are not aware of. And that's what makes gambits survive for a long time and unnoticed. So the first part, which again is very clear to everyone, it's a persistent complaint. It's happening and you complain about it, and there's a gap between what you want and what's actually happening. So you persistently complain. The second part, again, which is also visible, is a pattern of behavior that arises from that persistent complaint. So it's pretty conceptual now, but just know these are the first two parts which we can see, and we'll go into detail and actual examples later. The third part is there's a hidden payoff under the table that we receive for running this gambit. We complain, there's a behavior that happens, but we get a hidden payoff from running this gambit. But what's unknown to us is aside from the hidden payoff that we get, there's a cost to us for running this gambit. And now that we have this all four, let's have an example on the field. Anyone? What's a persistent complaint? What's always uh, getting you stuck and you're complaining about it? Anybody? So one of the things that this transformation training has given me is to be comfortable in uncomfortable silence. So I'll wait for a while and then I'll act in urgency. Anybody? What's a persistent complaint that you have? And this can be coaching for you, specifically in your gambit or possible gambit, but also for everyone, where we get to listen to how we can recognize gambits. Okay, so what's your gambit? Your mother-in-law is always nagging you. Maybe your mother-in-law or your wife is always nagging you to do this, do that. She doesn't understand that you're actually trying enough and that it's just you're not lucky to get the job that you want or get the financial rewards that is due you. So that's the persistent complaint. There's a gap between what they want for you, what you want for yourself financially and work, and they keep on nagging you every day. That's a persistent complaint. What's the pattern of behavior that arises from that persistent complaint? Imagine if that's happening to you, what pattern of behavior arises? You get angry, frustrated. Do you talk against their back? Do you get angry? Do you leave the house? Yes, those are behaviors that arise naturally from that persistent complaint. Okay, take one. You get angry with your wife or your mother-in-law or yourself. That's a pattern of behavior. Now, what's the hidden payoff for getting angry or feeling frustrated? What do you think? Is there a hidden payoff that you feel that way? Certainly. Because now you feel victim and you rationalize and you feel you're right. It's not your fault. And you have reason to stay there. But what's the hidden cost? The hidden cost is the relationship is strained. You're in a very small box of anger and reaction and a not so happy relationship. Because that's the gambit that is running in your head, from the persistent complaint to the pattern of behavior to the hidden payoff and the cost. Now, the beauty and the power of recognizing that that's a gambit we're playing is then we can shift. Okay, we can create possibilities out of that persistent complaint. If they nag you, they say things which hurt you. Do you have to take it? No. Do you need to react to it? No. Or you can use it to empower you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to be the man that you can be, and not allow yourself to be victim of circumstances. So if you take that as a challenge, like in a game, where it's a level up, and you don't no longer react hurt or angry or vengeful against them, but use these words, even if they hurt, even if the old reactions that you had were to be angry with them, but you shift your context and say, hey, they actually care enough about me to tell me to give their honest feedback. And when we stop that hidden behavior, we also stop that hidden payoff, which we used before to give life to this gambit. We no longer want to feel right or be justified or be rationalized or be victim. We take control. And if we start to do that, then the cost to us of relationships, of unhappiness, of being boxed in loses. Let me share with you what a coach shared with me. A very similar thing. Okay, she was angry at her father-in-law for whatever reason. For the longest time, her father-in-law said the wrong things, did the wrong things, hurt her, whether intentionally or not. But she absolutely hated him for the longest time. And then he got sick, and there was no one else to visit him at some times. And she had to do it. And during those infrequent times that she visited, oh, before that, so her persistent complaint was her father-in-law always saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, and the pattern of behavior was she was getting angry and vengeful and all that. And the payoff to her for doing that is she's being right. She's justified. It's not her fault. It's her father-in-law's fault. But the cost was failed relationship, lost joy, missed opportunities. For years, that happened, and this gambit ran every time her father-in-law even called or showed up. That was a persistent complaint, and that was the cost. So when the father-in-law got sick and she had to visit them for a few times out of respect, then she realized that her husband, the man she loved for 26 years, existed only because there was the he came from his father-in-law. Without the father-in-law, no Michael, no husband of 26 years, which she loved so dearly. When she recognized that gambit and shifted, and instead of a persistent complaint, she realized that, hey, I appreciate you, father-in-law, because of you, I have Michael. And because I have Michael, I have joy. So the persistent complaint suddenly disappeared. So with that pattern of behavior of hating, getting angry, getting frustrated, the payoffs of being right disappeared, but the cost, and the cost was huge of a failed relationship, suddenly disappeared. This story of Gambits reminds us that sometimes there are possibilities that we don't know, that we, by being right, feeling justified, making others wrong, yeah, that's good. It's a good feeling that we get those payoffs, but at what cost? Consider the possibility that the costs are much, much larger than being right. There's this saying, I'd rather be kind than be right. I'd rather be wrong than alone. Things to that effect. You don't need to have somebody right and wrong, or you right and somebody else wrong. You, you get to choose to have other possibilities. And that's the power of recognizing gambits. Thank you.